Welcome back to the channel. So it seems WWE have launched an official WCW World Championship Wrestling YouTube channel. Not only have they launched the channel, which currently at the time of recording I've just checked has only 32 videos, so a lot more content to go. This seems to be the new home of World Championship Wrestling. This is a great move, first of all, for myself. An interesting one, and I know I overuse that word, but it's a genuinely great one, first of all, for people like myself. Older fans who grew up watching WCW. I grew up from the late 80s, firstly watching the UK stuff, then pretty quickly when the WCW stuff came on, I watched that, also WWE as well, of course, but mostly the WCW stuff until that went off the channels that we had in about 1995. But this is fantastic news so that World Championship Wrestling, the organization that I still love, we are able to watch what is going to be apparently full episodes of WCW Monday Nitro, Thunder, pay-per-views, and also Clash of the Champions. We are going to see all of that content apparently on this again official YouTube channel. Now, again, all of this is fantastic that we are able to access this content because obviously here in the UK we had access to all the well, a lot of the WCW stuff, not all of it, because there was a lot of WCW Saturday Night episodes that we never got to see. Episodes of WCW Power Hour, Worldwide, and some other lower level shows that unfortunately WWE have never made available even on the WWE network. But we were able to watch certainly all of the Nitros, all the Thunders, all the pay-per-views, all the television specials that were Clash of the Champions. We were able to watch all of those in the UK until the start of this year. Obviously, when that hit, WWE moved to Netflix, and obviously none of the WCW stuff is available on there. So this channel being launched, and obviously it is going to be a little bit of a slower process to for them to start uploading. There are only about 30 odd uh, videos currently available, but it seems that this is going to be the new home of World Championship Wrestling, where they are going to be uploading all of that great content. Hopefully, maybe eventually they'll add some later Saturday night stuff because on the WWE Network, when it was a standalone service in the UK, we only got a few years to about I think it was about the start of 1994 when WCW Saturday Night continued, including many great lucha libre um, style and cruiserweight matches until basically pretty much near the end of the company, I think. So there's a lot of great matches, a lot of shows that have never been made available to watch. Even I'll say this as well. Even weirdly, never by WWE. Even when they were doing DVDs, you know, you've got reissues of SummerSlam and King of the Rings and Survivor Series and many classic WWE pay-per-views. But the WCW library was never really truly utilized in the way that it could have been. Obviously, yes, some of the matches and footage was used in superstar profile DVDs and documentaries, and there were even the Monday Night War stuff. You know, that's the later series is still obviously still not available on Netflix. Hopefully, maybe that will become available some point. But there was never the reissue of like WrestleManias a few years ago when they had the tagged classics. I was never okay. Here's a two-disc set of say 1995 and 1996 Great American Bashes or whatever it was. There was never any reissue of WCW events, and certainly obviously until we got the network, we couldn't see episodes of Nitro and Thunders. And for that to be taken away for somebody like myself who grew up a WCW fan, that's been really, really one of the harsh things about this move over to Netflix. That, a lot of the footage, and they're still really slowly adding to them, which is still I can't really say the words that I want to, but it's a really slow thing for them even to add some of the pay-per-views, and they've still got many years of episodes of Monday Night Raw that and SmackDown that are missing. They've got many, many, many episodes that are not on there. And the way that we were told that basically about the move to Netflix, it would be the WWE Network would basically pick up and move to Netflix. And basically just pick up and move to that platform. But obviously, that's not been the case. A tremendous amount of content that just until, again, end of last year, certainly here in the UK, we had access to it. And myself, and I do like to sit down, watch the WCW stuff, the Nitros and Thunders and the pay-per-views and stuff like that. Yes, and it's been 24 years now this month that WWE own WCW. Um, so to have that content taken away at the start of this year has been a bit heart wrenching and gut wrenching, honestly, um, in that way. Not being able to access much of that content. Yes, I can go through my DVDs, some of the superstar profiles and stuff like that, but it's still limited product. I want to kind of have the full experience, and even not just people like myself who grew up watching WCW, but maybe younger fans who kept hearing about the Attitude Era and how much vaunted it is, and they wanted to go back and they wanted to see that kind of stuff. It is annoying. So this new YouTube channel, which again is an official YouTube channel from WWE, this seems to be the new home of WCW content, where they will be uploading all of the Monday Nitros, all of the Thunders, the pay-per-views, and all the television specials, Clash of the Champions. So that's fantastic. Again, it's going to be slow process a little bit. Only launched it the other day officially, so and they've only got 30 odd channels at the time of recording. But this certainly seems to be good that we'll actually be able to watch WCW once again, and hopefully again maybe once they add all that stuff, maybe they will add the Saturday nights and especially the later ones when during the Monday Night Wars and stuff like that, because that's where many of the great lucha libre wrestlers and the cruiserweights and stuff like Eddie Guerrero and Malenko and even La Parkas and Psychosis and Juventud Guerreras and a lot of the kind of guys, and even the Finleys sometimes of this world, they would wrestle on those shows and have some really good matches. And many of them I've not been able to see. So hopefully that stuff will maybe be added in the future as well. I actually have to really question though what this means. Is this a stopgap measure? Obviously, since the WWE Network on Netflix has been announced, and certainly since it's taken effect, there has been a great call for content like WCW to be made available. So I have to kind of question, is this a stopgap measure? But to make WCW content available to try and placate the fans, have the content available just now while we wait long term, and I mean long, long term it seems, for Netflix to catch up and firstly upload all of the WWE stuff, all the pay-per-views and all the Raws and Smackdowns and everything that they're still missing a heck of a lot. Is this kind of a stopgap measure till that happens, and then maybe they've got an interest in other company stuff, other libraries that WWE own, or is this it? Is this where WCW is going to live for the next several years, or however long the Netflix deals last? Is this going to be where we find WCW on YouTube? Is this where we're going to find other companies on YouTube? Is this kind of a sign that Netflix is not really interested in WCW and potentially ECW stuff? Which honestly, they were having a watch party going on right now. I clicked into that. A couple of people in the chat were saying, what about an ECW channel? Quite honestly, that's what I thought when I saw this announcement as well. But honestly, some of the ECW content, I kind of fear that maybe YouTube might actually not really agree with it. They might not welcome it on their platform. Some of the extreme stuff that they did, it was of its time, but I'm not too sure that YouTube will like having that kind of content on their platform. Sometimes some of the clips and stuff I've heard about, if people put up, obviously sometimes for copyright and trademark stuff, but sometimes that gets taken down. So I don't know. Is this a kind of sign where future non WWE library stuff is going to go and it's going to have to go on YouTube? I really hope not. I hope we do get to see this stuff on Netflix. It is a little bit annoying because that's why I think that some people will be paying their Netflix subscriptions. Certainly, what I would certainly keep my subscription going. I just restarted it after a few weeks because I've watched a lot of WWE pay-per-views, or I have them somehow on DVD and stuff, and I've watched them several times. Yeah, okay, they've got Raws and stuff from this week, but and I do want to watch the build up to WrestleMania, but there are a lot of fans like the WWE Network who kept their subscription going to watch all of this kind of content, to WCW stuff, the ECW stuff, and maybe other companies that WWE had available. I know there's a limited amount of some of them, but this I think is a if this has to you have to question: is Netflix really going to be interested? Or are they interested in other non WWE content? That's really the question I have to think about. Are they really going to be interested? Are they even want to bother about non WWE content? So again, is this a stopgap measure for WCW stuff to make it available to placate the fans who really want to get back to watching WCW and have that stuff available? Because quite honestly, in wrestling terms, it's a bit of a crime to not have this kind of stuff available. WCW, yeah, again, it's been 24 years since WWE bought WCW now, almost just I think a few days away from that anniversary. I think it's a dang shame that, especially we're talking March next year, 25 years since it'll be next year, next March, it will be 25 years since ECW basically went under and was eventually brought out by WWE and administration and bankruptcy, well, bankruptcy really, and it would be 25 years since WCW was bought. And regardless of what you thought of those two companies, that was a major time in professional wrestling, major change, one of the biggest changes that led to like AEW within American professional wrestling. One of the biggest changes, one of the biggest events that month of March 2001, when all of that happened, when it was confirmed ECW was done, WCW was bought, one of the biggest, most important times of professional wrestling history. And it would be a real shame that none of that stuff would be available to watch 25 years on. Because again, there's never been a reissue of that stuff from ECW, never been a reissue of that stuff certainly from WWE for WCW stuff, no disc sets or anything like that. So is this a stopgap measure, or is this an indication that Netflix really isn't interested in any other library footage other than WWE stuff itself? That's a good big question that I think hopefully I think it needs to be asked. But either way, WCW stuff is going being looked at and being made available. Again, we only got 30 odd videos at the time of recording, possibly more by the time I even quickly upload this. But yeah, it's great the WCW stuff was. Again, I grew up a WCW fan, so being able to watch World Championship Wrestling, full episodes of Nitro, Thunder, the pay-per-views, and Clash of Champions. I separate them because they were television specials. They were not pay-per-views. I think a couple of them might have been later on in the run, might have been still pay-per-views. I think they were all television specials, but certainly it's fantastic that at least they're available so fans like myself can sit down them. But again, due to the content, I wouldn't be holding breath very much on ECW stuff because I'm not sure YouTube would like that. But absolutely, it's fantastic to see WCW airing in some capacity so the fans can once again enjoy all of that WCW content. Yes, it gets horrible near the end of the run, I understand that, but there were definitely great moments, and I think with the almost 25 years having passed since it ended, I think honestly fans certainly nowadays can forget about the intensity of the Monday Night Wars. They can forget about this was going on and that was going on and this happened backstage and this politics and this of that and the other. And I think they can hopefully enjoy some of the great WCW moments from its history.